Hello, my name is Thomas Winter. I'm a part of Team 28, and this is our Milestone 2 screencast for CSC519. And we are going to walk through all of the pipeline steps that we have added. And as you can see here, we're going to set up the VM with this pipeline setup. And we have our GitHub user, and the argument that it takes in is the account name, and the other argument is the password. And instead of the regular account password, we needed to use, we used a developer API key. So I'm not going to include that for privacy reasons, but I'm going to run this command and I will come back when it's finished because it takes a long time to set up the VM. Alright, our pipeline setup command has been run, and we have automatically built our environment that we are going to run the Jenkins job builder on. And we need Node.js, MongoDB, PyMongo, which is also used for MongoDB, the iTrust job builder. We'll need Java, Maven, and MySQL Server, as well as Chrome. And then we've installed a bunch of Jenkins plugins, and we see we're restarting. And let's see, so now we are going to run the build. We're going to build the iTrust Jenkins job builder, and the user we're going to use is admin, as well as the password will be admin. And then this also takes a long time to process, so I will run it and I'll pause the video and we'll come back and talk about it. Alright, so we finished running the iTrust build, and because there is so much log to the console, my terminal actually doesn't have all of the results because it was just tons of stuff we're downloading and a bunch of stuff got overwritten. So I can show that the cucumber tests ran and were all passed, and before the all the tests before had passed as well. We can go down here, we scroll all the way down, we see that the build was successful. It took about 13, almost 14 minutes, and then after it runs the typical Maven tests for the we're going to use the Chicoco plugin, which tests for the code coverage, and we set our thresholds to where if the code coverage doesn't pass the certain thresholds, it will fail the build. But we were able to pass. We hit all the thresholds, and then our static analysis portion checks for any of the issues recorded in any of the testing process, and then our code coverage process, and that passed as well. We didn't have any issues, so we had a successful build. I just want to state at the beginning of the run where I first cut off the video, what we're doing is we're cloning the iTrust repository from the NCSU GitHub. We're using our credentials that we used in our setup command, and then we're copying our application file that has a bunch of our credentials in there for the MySQL server, and we're copying that from our BakerX location into the iTrust repository, and then we're running the Maven tests. And below here we see that we're doing some cleanup. We're deleting, we're killing a bunch of we're killing the Chrome processes. We're killing, we didn't really have any left over. And if there are any processes running on port 9001, which there aren't, it would kill those as well. So we're cleaning up the workspace, and that's the end of the pipeline. So now we're going to run the useful tests, and I'm just going to run 10 iterations, and I'm not going to include my password, so I'll pause the video before I run it. But typically we would run 1,000 iterations, but in this case, just to save time, we'll just run it 10 times. So I'll pause it, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Alright, so our tests have completed, and we can see that it's going through a bunch of source files, Java files in the source directory, mutating parts of those source files, and then at the end it's going to check to see if those mutations were caught by our test suite. And like I said, I ran it 10 times, and overall it caught 7 out of the 10 iterations. So it has a 70% mutation coverage. And then here's the ending report. Just for all the source files that it went through. And now we are going to run our final step, which is to run static analysis on the checkbox.io application. And we're just going to do a Jenkins job builder on this. It's going to include the new static analysis stage. So it's going to trigger that build. And it's going to check out the checkbox.io app from the Git repository. And install all the modules. And I'll come back, I'll pause the video, and we can go over the results. Alright, so our static analysis of the checkbox.io has completed, and we can see right at the beginning one of the files has a method length of 232, which is greater than our maximum threshold of 100 lines. So that is going to cause a failure of the build. Here we just see a bunch of different methods showing the length and their message chain, and everything seems to pass. Here's another method length that exceeds it. So we've got a few files here where we're catching these failures, and at the end we see we've got an error. Then there's just a bunch of forms. So we've got 2 passing, but because of those files that were caught from the static analysis, we did fail the build. So that was expected. So that wraps up all of the commands that we run in our Milestone 2 part of the project. We've completed every one successfully, and we expected failures on this stage, but the others we expected for those builds to succeed. And that wraps up Milestone 2. Thank you.